You can. Let's roll.
Yeah, okay,
perfect. Mr. Reeves.
Yes.
It's nice to see you the first time here at Tabak. Is it your first time?
No, it's not. I've actually been here for the last 3 years. So yeah.
Nice. My second question, how are you doing today?
I am doing quite well. Maybe another cup of coffee and I'll be doing even better.
So, and what are you smoking today? Have you been smoking something lately?
So I've been working on a new blend. I'm not quite at liberty to talk too much about it, but yeah, I've been smoking that recently. I haven't had anything to smoke this morning though, meetings and things.
Okay, I smoked the Union Square,
yeah.
And it's absolutely beautiful. I love it. It was my first time trying it out, and we will definitely order some. And StarkeZigarren is like more into cigars, but now more and more we're getting into pipe tobacco and pipes. Could you tell us about Cornell Diehl? You're like the Headblender. Could you tell us a little bit about the company, please?
Yes. So I'm Headblender and director of Cornell Diehl. My responsibilities are to make sure that we have the tobaccos that we want to make our blends. Yep. So knowing all of the ingredients that we need and sourcing all of those, making sure that our blends are correctly enacted, leading the team of blenders that we have who are there making tobacco in my absence right now, and who do the majority of the day-to-day actual manufacturing. So I would say in that regard my position is sort of like an executive chef. The menu is designed by me, the ingredients are sourced by me, the recipes are carried out by a team of absolutely fantastic and skilled blenders who have learned from me. And then we have a packaging department that takes all of our blends and packages it in various sizes. We have machinery that processes tobacco, and so pressing and cutting flake and ready rub and all of the blending components that we process. So yeah, it's quite a bit. But it's a lot of fun, and I'm really proud of
I bet.
Yeah, I'm really proud of and enjoy the team of people that I get to lead.
Another question. So we at StarkeZigarren, we are like almost the nerds of the industry. We love our cigars. We're like deeply in contact with the growers, with the blenders. We know everything about the soil, the climate, and everything else. And there was no doubt when we tried to get into pipe tobaccos that we would include your products. So could you tell us a little bit about having the innovation and creativity, but also remaining history and tradition?
Oh man, yeah. I think by virtue of making pipe tobacco, you're already in like the historicity and tradition. But within that, there was a time when nobody'd done X, Y, or Z. There was somebody who first decided to put vanilla on something. There was somebody who first decided to put perique in a pipe blend. And so I think that even as we innovate, that also is part of the tradition. How do I take the same components and the same materials that other pipe blenders have been using for a couple hundred years, but make something that is unique and compelling, that stands out from the rest? Yep. So I think that it's both. By virtue of innovating, you are taking part in the historicity and the tradition of pipe tobacco.
Another question. What would you say makes Cornell Diehl different from other pipe tobacco makers, for example, in Europe?
Mm-hmm. We do not rely heavily on humectants, and like glycerin, PG, these kinds of things do not feature prominently in our blending.
So less additives.
That's right. You'll notice that our flakes are more delicate. They you can't throw it against the wall and it remains a flake. They break apart, but it's because we don't use any sort of binding agent. Okay. We rely on the natural sugar and the natural oil of the tobacco to form the flake. And we find that there's less interference in the fermentation that can take place through that pressure and creating a flake that way, and through storing it. We don't vacuum seal our tins, which means that there's a little bit of air there that slowly over time is consumed by the microbes.
Fermentation, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. So I think that our tins yield more striking results. If you age a tin of Cornell Diehl, you will find that in a year or two, a lot more change has happened.
So would you also say don't cellar it, don't put it in an extra jar, or do you mean you can leave it in the tin as it comes, yes, and it will age on its own?
Yes, that's correct. Anytime that the tobacco has gone into its own little ecosystem, mm-hmm, once it's into the package. When you open it, you're introducing everything from a new environment, and you're breaking that ecosystem. The longer it stays in the same sort of conditions with no changes, the more consistent that fermentation process will be. So the purpose of cellaring is to take tobacco that is this way now and experience something entirely different 10, 15 years from now. Every time you open it, every time you reintroduce new oxygen, you're basically killing off the process of what has been sort of progressing. So I recommend aging in the tin.
Nice.
Unless it's bulk tobacco. If it's bulk tobacco, it comes in a plastic bag of any kind. Plastic is porous, yep, so those volatiles that are created through fermentation will just leach out. Any oil will be soaked up by the plastic over time, so you'll have less flavorful tobacco if you store it long term in plastic. In those cases, transfer to a jar.
What would be your recommendation for somebody who's like starting out with pipe tobaccos from the Cornell Diehl line? What would you recommend?
I think a lot of people start with aromatics, because you go into a tobacco shop and you open the jar and it smells like apricots, or it smells like vanilla or cherry, and you expect that flavor. But you're not an experienced pipe smoker, and so you instead end up with steamed tongue and
tongue bite
and disappointing experience of flavor. It doesn't smell like it tastes. It doesn't taste like it smells. For those reasons, also, very often you're like coming off of cigarettes. You really need to learn your cadence. You really need to learn how to pack a pipe properly and all those kinds of things. I think that Latakia mixtures are actually a great place to start, because you have a very prominent flavor. It's not too heavy in terms of nicotine strength, but it's a very prominent flavor. You're not going to go puffing harder, hunting for flavor. It's right there. It's satisfying, and it's forgiving. You can produce big clouds of smoke with Latakia without singeing your tongue. And I think that is a good place to start. But in general, I would recommend to a new smoker, explore many different kinds of tobaccos, many different kinds of blends, and when you find something that you enjoy, sink your teeth in a little bit. Don't keep branching out. Spend some time with a blend. Once you find something that really works for you, spend some time really understanding that blend, and then you'll make better and more informed decisions as you find other things to explore.
Another question, because I'm a really big Virginia Perique lover. What is your recommendation for somebody like me who loves Virginia Periques?
I absolutely love Red Carpet.
Never heard of it.
It is a Virginia and Perique flake that we produce. I also really love Sunday Picnic, which is...
Do we have it in Germany, by the way?
Maybe not yet. Maybe not yet. But soon,
we should change that.
These will be coming, I think. Sunday Picnic is Virginia Oriental Perique. That also, oh my goodness, it ages so beautifully. I had the great pleasure of being able to buy a tin from a former customer of mine when I worked at Smoking Pipes, who passed away, and his widow was selling off his cellar. And so I was able to buy back some tobacco that he had bought from us, and it was really special. But 10 years old, Sunday picnic had transformed from this like, you know, beautiful golden color with streaks of black to it to almost being jet black. Oh, it was like a fruit roll up in the smell, you know, like dried fruit. So rich, so deep, absolutely beautiful. I really recommend aging it. Bayou Morning Flake. This you definitely have in the EU. Let's see.
One last.
There's probably more, but I'm drawing.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
I apologize.
No worries. One last.
Hours off my natural clock right now. Too.
Jet lag. Yeah. One last question. If you had to pick one raw tobacco, which one would you pick?
Oh wow. Like to smoke straight.
Just to smoke straight, just to have it for the rest of your life.
Man,
you don't have to answer. It's a tricky question, and you don't have to answer.
That is.
You can leave it at that.
That is a tough question. I'm torn.
You have to. Do you know the question? You're going to an island, and you can only pick 3 things. Oh, it's only one tobacco.
Oh, I'm familiar. I'm just a believer that variety is the whole reason that we're here, and so asking me to narrow it down to one thing is sort of like putting a gun to my head. Probably an Oriental. Probably there's a very special Izmir that we use that is grown in Thailand, of all places, and it's beautiful. And I love smoking it straight. That might be something I could suffice on a desert island smoking. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you very much, Mr. Reeves. It was my pleasure meeting you. Thank you very much.
Same. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
That was great.